We sat around and talked at the board and other committees about what it was going to be. Well, the Reverend Rob Ross from St. Peter's Episcopal in Osterville was on the board, and he had this idea about a wine festival. Well, it grew from a wine festival, and let's have the best restaurants we can get as well. And it's grown for 20 years into the best night of the year.
The paramount reason for Best Night has always been to raise money, and that's really what got us going, to help empower the United Way to fuel its mission across the community. That was the key purpose.
I just want to say, first of all, it was a total blur. First meeting I had with the wonderful people at United Way, I realized that this was a great group, a great cause, and I wanted to be a part of it.
It's hard to believe it's been 20 years. Great memories.
I've been involved with the United Way in many different ways, and it's pretty exciting to be back here in Chatham at the Wilson's home because it's spectacular.
Grant and Helene Wilson, the most wonderful host you could ever imagine, said, what good is having a house like this unless you share it? Well, as soon as they were done talking, I was on them like white on rice.
So much to ask, anybody that owns a beautiful home, if we can bring, 250 of our closest and best supporters to their house for an evening of wine and fine food.
And Mr. Wilson and Mrs. Wilson agreed happily, and next year, the following year, we had planned for our first Best Night of the year and raised a grand total of about $28,000. That was the beginning.
I'm thinking back to really the very first Best Night here at the Wilson's house. And as any event of this size, you hope for perfect weather, and it was not perfect weather. The wind was blowing off of Harding Beach here like there was no tomorrow. It was raining, and the tent was not staying in place.
It was windy, it was rainy, it was horrible weather. The inside of the tent is soaking wet.
The other story from the Belzekians' home, they had parked cars on the grass, and someone's car started rolling down the hill. It's like, oh, and he went running over, saved the car, stopped the car, saved the day.
Rick Angelini had decided that I should be the auctioneer. I'm not sure what happened to the real auctioneer, but I said, this could be a real stretch with no preparation. We are amateurs. The last thing you need are two amateur auctioneers, so we'll do this. And you might get one more year out of us, but then we quit, and let's go back and get a pro. Let's get a John Terrio or somebody who can really do this.
Fortunately or unfortunately, that night, the wines were flowing very fast. We ran out of wine glasses.
And I also remember the porta potties they had. They were quite amazing. They did have the most fabulous porta potties.
The weather cleared, it was as beautiful as you could imagine, and Best Night was off and running.
When you hear some of the stories that people have told about Best Night and all the things that went wrong, it's amazing that things went as right as they did too. We just kept it going, and it kept getting better and better.
It was all volunteer driven. Every restaurant, every wine provider, every staff, the pitchers of the tent, the sweepers of the floor, everything was all volunteer, so that all the money was able to funnel right back into helping people and programs throughout the Cape and Martha's Vineyard and Nantucket.
They're working all week, and they're working late Saturday night, and give up their Sunday afternoon and bring stuff, lots of food, lots of wine and beer to our event free.
Liz Mumford, how many paintings did she do of different Best Night?
And talk about neighborly. And Patrice had an idea. She's, well, every Saturday, I do weddings and people leave the flowers behind. I can redo the flowers and bring them to you every year for all the tables.
It was crazy. It was a lot of work, but I got to tell you, we never had a better time.
At the end of the night, we were fortunate enough as a committee to grab a cold beer or a glass of wine, sit on a bank and watch the best fireworks from Atlas Pyrotechnics. The real people that need the pat on the back here, the ones that showed up year after year, opened up their wallets, donated money, and every year the event just raised more and more money. It was just put a tear in your eye.
Doreen Belzekian came out and she has an envelope. She says, here, somebody I work with couldn't come and wanted to be supportive. And I opened it up and it was a gift for $10,000. That's what the Cape is all about. Nantucket, Martha's Vineyard, this wonderful place we live, about people just doing what they can to help other people.
You know, it makes you think about the people who we wish were here and are not. If you think about Pat Butler, you think about Ron Reed, David Scudder, Bill Wendell, Grant Wilson, Chuck Belzekian. We wish they were here to celebrate this 20th anniversary.
It's been an honor to work with a group of people and be able to support the programs that we've supported throughout the years.
They were great nights, great memories, and hopefully we'll have another 20 years.
It was just a wonderful, wonderful time.
And that's what it is. It's the best night of the year. It always was and still is about providing really good nights for everybody else.
Quite an event. So glad you're all here. Thank you so much for making it 20 years. And as Rick said earlier, how about 20 more? Let's do it.